Hello, audience, for people who are watching this. Today we have with us Ashish Johri. Ashish has done his bachelor's in computer application. Then he did his program called AMPBA, which is a 15 months program on advanced analytics from Indian School of Business. And now Ashish has been working with American Express throughout. His 15 and a half years of experience has been into American Express, which everyone knows is one of the leading financial institute in US and in India, of course, right? And he has worked in the space of fraud analytics. Thank you so much, Ashish, for providing your time. It means a lot, firstly. And before I hand it over to you, the first question that we would like to ask you is, what are a few of the real world projects which are handled in the space of, say, fraud? Would you like to throw some light on that, please? Yeah, over to you, Ashish.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Bernie. A real-time fraud, I think, especially in the fraud domain, there is a lot happening. And with analytics coming in and AI, we're into more of preventive scheme of things rather than being reactive in the approach, right? So there's a lot happening in this space, and with a lot of machine learning algorithms that we run into on day in day out basis, there is a lot that we do in terms of real-time anomaly detection, right? We do a lot of predictive analysis basis the behavioral, the spend patterns that the person is doing. There are various risk assessment things that, especially I think a lot of NLP programs helps us in risk assessments, which primarily helps us identify those patterns. While different neural networks who does real-time online transaction monitoring system for us, because in this space, billions of transactions are happening every second, right? So what we do is we do a real-time monitoring, and if in case we see anything that's happening, just to give you a wider overview, if we see anything anything in this space wherein we see an out of pattern transaction happening. For example, me as a card member who's been with the organization, but spending around $1,000 for the last 12 months, right? But all of a sudden, now I see a $5,000 transaction coming in. So this is how the real-time monitoring helps us to stop those transactions right there, and we reach out to the card member proactively. Is this something that you're doing before we go ahead and approve, right? So that's a very real-time experience that we're getting into, just to ensure that from both an organization standpoint and from a customer standpoint, we're saving those fraud transactions. So that's a real-time one. With the large language models coming in, I think there's another use case that I'm currently working on, which on the outset, when the customer calls in on the contact center, right, we have developed a model which identifies basis the transcripts, right, that whether this is something which is actually fraudulent or this needs to go to a billing disputes team, and this doesn't qualify for a fraud setup. So that's something that we're currently working on, and this is something that will really help the operations teams across in terms of increased efficiencies, right, and minimizing those bad demands for fraud to come in, because there is a lot that's happening in this space, to be very honest.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ashish, for throwing light on this. So you spoke about doing risk assessment, by looking at the NLP patterns, etc. Then you spoke about online transaction analysis that you perform, that too on the real-time basis. And
That's
you should
correct.
be having a very strong pipeline in place to be able to do such a real-time monitoring. When I say pipeline, I'm talking about the data pipeline.
Data, yeah.
Then thanks to Gen AI, you're making use of the capabilities of Gen AI as well, wherein you're
Yeah,
routing the tickets to the appropriate resolver group automatically, right? All these are a
that's good.
few cool and really interesting real world use cases. Thank you so much for sharing these insights. Next, question, Ashish, would be how can we help the youth of the country, right? There are BTech in data science, BTech in AI ML, BTech in AI and robotics, and bunch of BTech programs that are launched, and close to 8 lakh students are coming out of these data related courses every year from India. And for them to look up to American Express and to get a job in American Express, what is it that you would recommend them? Okay, what kind of skills do you usually see? Do you usually want the person to have before they are onboarded onto American Express? Yeah, your thoughts, please.
Yeah. So, and as you're saying, there is a lot of people getting into the space year on year, and we're just restricting ourselves to BTech and everything, Barney, because now even the working professionals are getting into the domain of analytics because they feel now they have that domain knowledge. It's time for them to get into analytics, right? Because these days we're getting into a zone wherein we call prompt engineers, right? Business translators, because what's been happening for a very long time is people who've been coding, they're not really well versed with business, right? They've not been really well versed with business. So now there is a space wherein I feel that people who have the domain knowledge expertise are upskilling, and once they are upskilling, they are getting into that zone wherein they can move into analytics. And if I go on to especially the youth who are just coming out fresh out of college, my suggestion for them would be to ensure that they get their basics right. They need to understand what's their strength. Is it really the coding bit, or are you really good with maths or stats, right? So I think getting onto the basics is very, very important. Lay the right foundation up for yourself. And in this space, I think there is a lot that's happening. You can get onto hackathons, right? You can take that data set out from Kaggle and start working on it. Make sure you take up those real-time projects that can give you that insights and real-time learnings before you get on to an interview. Because there is a lot that happens in the background, right? And once you're getting acquired or getting interviewed, I think everyone looks forward to someone or some kind of projects that you've done or the kind of skill set. So I think getting your basics right, that should be the first thing. Making sure that you're updated with the trends, because in AI, every day is a new trend. So are you up with those communities, getting engaged with communities, getting onto different hackathons? So those are the kind of learnings that you can do on day in, day out. I think that would make you a better person, better equipped in terms of knowledge, so that once you're exposed to an interview, I think you're ready for it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ashish, for that detailed explanation. You rightly said that they need to have domain knowledge. So students need to look out for opportunities where they can learn the domain expertise also. So work on real world projects. That's one key point which Ashish has touched upon, because he was saying that when you are interviewed, they ask you about the projects that you worked on, and you cannot give a dummy, project example. And there are also a lot of other roles which exist. So look at your skills. Are you very good at coding? Are you extremely good at maths or stats? Or are you good at your communication skills, and do you understand the business problem in a thorough detail? Then there are business translators like Ashish was talking about, and you can apply for those kind of roles. But laying the right foundation is key, like rightly said by Ashish. Focus on hackathons, Kaggle competitions, etc. But nothing can beat real world projects, because in Kaggle competition, problem and data set are well defined. In real world, you will have to identify the problem. You need to go collect the right data, then deploy the solution in production. For these kind of things, you have to work on real world projects, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ashish. Our folks will now learn or understand what kind of work is happening in the space of fraud analytics, a few of the real world problems that you have spoken about. And they also now understand on how they can actually get a job in companies, like American Express. And you also have rightly told that it's not just students, working professionals as well because they would have accrued sufficient domain knowledge now, and probably they want to venture into the space of AI.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. It truly means a lot, and I'm certain this conversation that we had now is going to help a lot of people across the globe. Thank you, and all the best for your future, Ashish.
Thank you so much, Bernie.
Do stay in touch. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.